Yeah, I don't know when stocks are going to go up. If you meet somebody that knows when their stock picks are going to start working, I think that would be one of the best investors ever. Somebody actually asked me the other night in our Discord chat. There's some guy yapping. Um, if you're not in our Discord chat, try it out. Some guy was asking, how many people do you know? One guy. We have a guy named Tree. He's kind of this old timer, and Tree was saying, how many people do you know make a living off trading, stock trading? And I thought about that answer, like how many people I've met on Wall Street um, that have ever made a living off of trading, and the number was that I came up with was about six. Okay, I've met traders and investors for the last 25 years, and the amount of people who could sustain themselves on a trading, as a trader or investor, including with a firm, right? Including running a money management firm. Six people. Um, Pretty much all of them are either billionaires or they're worth hundreds of millions at the very least. Most quants could not sustain themselves if they left the firm they were at. At least six that I know very well. I know some other folks, like people who founded some of the very biggest firms. When I say trading, I mean any kind of investing. Trading is just a generic term. It is very hard. So there are certainly more people I know that are sort of like they can make ends meet, something like that. But generally speaking, when you can make money trading, compounding, it's I don't specifically mean quants at all. It's a really, really, really hard thing to do. Like the people who can do that are extremely talented. So for most people, trading, which includes investing, is basically impossible. None of them are options traders. No, I'm including guys that buy and hold. It doesn't matter. So my two old bosses, I'm not sure if either of them are billionaires, but they're both made a living investing day in, day out. They're both very rich. They're not lucky. They're extremely good at what they do. They have really good savvy, market sense, mix of things. They're cool under pressure. They know how to manage a portfolio, all that stuff. And so that's two of them. Really, really sharp guys. And they made a living investing. They also invest their own money. So that's pretty much it. I don't think 23andMe means anything. That's data's not too valuable. So then I can think of four more guys. So one was a friend that started a hedge fund and is just a very good investor. He sometimes credits me with teaching him how to short sell, which is very sweet, and I'm sure untrue. Interestingly, all of these guys went to top colleges. I don't know if that means anything. I'm not sure there's causality there, but all of these guys went to top colleges. Two of them worked for Steve Cohen. But they literally all this list. If I let me think this through, you've got one of my bosses did it. It's a top college, but it's not Harvard or UPenn. But you got two Harvards, two Whartons, and then two what I'd call sort of tier 2 schools, still in tier 1, but just a cut below the Harvards and UPenns. Extremely great discipline. A lot of them have 2 degrees. Jim Cramer is one of them, of course, got a law degree. Another friend of mine, two are physicians. They're biotech billionaires. I think one of them has an MBA. I think two of them have MBAs, but I'm not sure. So anyway, yeah, not Cornell, but Cornell-like. So, yeah, Kramer didn't inherit a dollar. His family wasn't wealthy at all. Yeah, I would say at least two of those guys didn't come from like wealthy families. Maybe even three, but they didn't come from dilapidated families either. So anyway, point is, in all my travels, all my time, I know 6 people well that, made it investing or trading on their own. So just a important thing to keep in mind. Each one has a different style, Each one has a different style. Let me see. I can, again, I'll sort of put them down as 1 and 2. As these guys I mentioned were my bosses. And then 3, 4, 5, and 6 were... And again, the other thing that's really interesting here is every single one of these guys was in the business of money management. So if you're a good trader, your services are wanted, right? So all of their net worths are, I'll just do number of zeros, but these two guys, let's say, are over 100 mil. This guy is over $1 billion. This guy is over $1 billion, and these two guys, let's say, are over 100 mil. So every one of these guys managed money for somebody else basically for most of their career. Some of them manage money just for themselves at different parts of their career, including right now. Some of them don't. So, so in terms of like, maybe college or education, again, I would say sort of Harvard or Wharton undergrad, top, I'll just write top but not Harvard. Not that it matters. Let's see, who are these two guys? I would say top. And then these two are Harvard, Wharton. So there's no real causality here at all. But nobody went to City College or, some crumb-dum school, and they all went to college, interestingly. Now, times are changing, so keep that in mind. All these people kind of were brought up somewhere between the 70s and the earliest, maybe the 80s and the earliest, to today. So this covers like the last 40 years. I'm about 40. So no real state schools either. When I say top, I mean like very close to Harvard or Wharton, but not Harvard or Wharton. or Princeton or whatever super schools there are. There are a couple. Anyway, okay, so more interestingly, what you guys care about here. If I had to label each of these guys trader or investor, which is, they're still all traders to me because they make trades. But when I say trader or investor this time, I think you know what I mean. Are they whipping it around like crazy, or are they not? So okay, so this one just for obvious, this is Jim Cramer. I can anonymize him. So this guy's a trader. This guy's a trader. I would call these guys investors. This guy's kind of a hybrid. I think earlier on he was more of a trader. Now he's more of an investor. And this guy's more of an investor. And I would say this guy is also kind of a switch hitter. So pretty different I'm not saying you're not like these guys. I think somebody was asking, what are the. I thought this is a really interesting discussion. Who. The six people. Tree said that there wasn't anyone he'd ever met that could make a trade, that could make a living trading. And this is like my world. So for me, and it's not just met. Like these are people I know well. So let me go through a little bit more. So like I want to go through the investing styles more, but let me see. Okay, so somebody asked like, is this somebody that pores over financials? And that's a good question. So I would say in Kramer's case, no. In this case, yes. I'm gonna do green for yes. Let's see these two guys. I would say yes and yes. Then I would say no and yes. So in terms of like, is this somebody that is sitting there reading really hard about financials, just like super interested in numbers? And then I'll give you ages. So I think this guy is 70. This guy is say 65, maybe 70. These guys are young. One or two of these guys are young. This guy's more 65-ish. But this guy's like 45. This guy's more like 40 even. And then this guy is more like a little older. So notice like some of the older guys, like the only two guys in here that are like technicals, you like these two. So if they're not heavy into financials, they're just into, technicals. So financials, fundamentals. Fundamentals are a bit different. Like, so like there's this old style of investing, kind of like just focusing on like really near-term changes. So like this guy, Kramer, and then this guy who's like kind of very much like Kramer. Like all they cared about was like the latest changes. So like basically you couldn't call them value investors. You would say, these are all sort of synonymous. You would say, I'm not a value investor, not a value investor. And you'd say for these guys, basically, yes, they're a value investor. Yes, definitely, more or less, indefinitely. So you have sort of 1/3 or value investor, or 1/3 are not value investors, a kind of momentum, chasing new information, that kind of thing. And then 2/3, Druck is not one of these. And 2/3 are are value investors. Now, the interesting thing, the really interesting thing that's really important is, I'm not throwing shade at anybody here. These styles, and I love both these people very much, these styles are not sort of seen to work anymore. Right? Like these guys are, neither guy is particularly active in the market anymore. Well, like this guy is, these two guys are, and this guy is. These three guys right now run major hedge funds. But they're very good investors, period. Like they've invested their personal money to make fortunes. No soft dollar commissions, no edge. These guys are just smart investors. That style was more these two guys. I think that's what you're saying, right, Clavador? Is that like the fast money traders that were not like very, I don't even know who that is, who were not like very focused on financials, not focused on value. Like, yeah, some of their information kind of comes from the gossip vine, the grapevine. Josh Kushner is not one of them. I don't know Josh Kushner. None of these people are particularly famous. They're famous in the money management world, but they're not famous outside the money management world. And even still, a bunch of them are kind of obscure. Like I would say the bottom two are fairly obscure in money management. And this one is, my old boss is pretty obscure. So like these guys are more well known in money management, but like a bunch of these guys are quite obscure. Yeah, two of these guys are biotech traders, maybe even three, two and a half. And then I know some other super investors that I've just like shook hands with, had a couple of conversations with, but I wouldn't put them as somebody I know well. But those people I know well. So anyway, the point is like, it's pretty hard. And if you are good at trading or investing, people will try to give you money, right? People really try to like, here, take my capital. You're a really good trader. No, I don't even include Vivek here. But that's a pretty good point. I should include Vivek. Okay, so I know 7.